I get how overwhelming it is to choose the right drone. I know how hard it is to make the right decision. Which drone should I get? Which drone has all the features I need? That's why I've made this video. We've got the Mavic 4 Pro versus the Air 3S versus the Mavic 3 Pro, and let's see which one comes out on top. What's going on, guys? My name is Dan Davis and I'm the creative director here on DansTube.TV. I've been testing drones for years and years and years now, and it's great to see such a huge advancement as of late. The Mavic 4 Pro only just came out and I've been testing this thing thoroughly. The Mavic 3 Pro was a staple of my kit. Great flagship drone, still is a phenomenal flagship drone. It's stood the test of time, but we're gonna put it head to head with its brand new competitor now, its younger brother, which is the Mavic 4 Pro. And then the Air 3S, which came out not long ago with that 1-inch sensor. How are these three drones going to compare? With the Mavic 4 Pro, keep in mind I'm using the Creator Combo, so that comes with 512 gigabytes of internal storage. The Mavic 3 Pro, there is a Mavic 3 Cine edition, which a lot of people swear by because of the Apple ProRes. I'll be using the Mavic 3 Pro for this comparison, that's all I've known. So it's the Mavic 4 Pro Creator Combo versus the Air 3S versus the standard Mavic 3 Pro. Now with the Mavic 4 Pro, you do get 10-bit 422 with the codec All-I. Really beautiful stuff here. And if we just quickly go through the camera specs, because I'm sure you can find a lot of this online, but I just wanted to condense it just so you understand what's happening here. So the Mavic 4 Pro has a main Hasselblad system. It is a 4/3" CMOS sensor capable of capturing 100 megapixel stills. Beautiful upgrade here. Does seem like an improvement over the Mavic 3 Pro's Hasselblad system. You can capture 6K 60 frames per second with the Mavic 4 Pro or 4K 120 frames per second in slow-mo. It does have a medium telesystem, which is a 1/1.3" CMOS sensor, capable of capturing 48 megapixel stills. We've come to love this 1/1.3" sensor. We've seen it on the Air 3S, we've seen it on the Mini 4 Pro, and a bunch of other drones as well. Great system. You can capture 4K 60 frames per second HDR or 4K 120 frames per second slow-mo with that medium telesystem. And then we've got the telecamera system, which is a 1/1.5" CMOS sensor, capable of capturing 50 megapixel stills. And we also get 4K 60 frames per second HDR or 4K 100 frames per second slow motion. So the telecamera can't go to 120 in slow motion. You still do get a slow motion option here. All three systems are great. They work well together and I'm impressed across the board. But the main Hasselblad, that pretty much a micro 4/3 camera system, like very similar to a lot of mirrorless cameras out there. Really impressive stuff. The huge leap forward to 100 megapixel stills is great to see. And 6K 60 frames per second HDR is just a massive leap forward. Now, if we look at the Air 3S, this was a welcome addition to the roster recently with that 1-inch CMOS sensor, 50 megapixel stills. A lot of people were very excited to see that 1-inch sensor come to the Air 3S. It's capable of capturing 4K 60 frames per second HDR or 4K 120 frames per second in slow motion. Impressive camera system, and a lot of people have been happy with that so far. The medium telesystem on this is a 1/1.3", like I said, very similar. We've seen that on the Mavic 4 Pro, we've seen it on the Mini 4 Pro. Great camera system, 1/1.3" CMOS, 48 megapixel stills, and you can still capture 4K 60 frames per second HDR or 4K 120 frames per second in slow motion. So the Air 3S is a great upgrade here from previous Air models, and it does compete with the Mavic 4 Pro, but it still just gets lapped when we think about that main Hasselblad system. And then we've got the Mavic 3 Pro, which has very similar camera systems here, but just slightly varied when it comes to certain features. So it is a Hasselblad 4/3" CMOS sensor. It can only capture 20 megapixel stills as opposed to 100 megapixel stills on the Mavic 4 Pro. It can capture 5.1K 50 frames per second or 4K 120 frames per second. The medium telesystem is a 1/1.3" CMOS sensor, 48 megapixel stills and 4K 60 frames per second. And then the telecamera system is a 1/2" CMOS sensor, 12 megapixel stills and 4K 60 frames per second. So you can see similar, but definitely not as advanced as the Mavic 4 Pro when we compare it to that. And the Air 3S still has a little bit of a leg up in certain features here as well. So I'm impressed with what all three are offering here, and you're going to be happy with regardless of whatever you have or want to get. But the Mavic 4 Pro is the clear winner, which you would expect when it comes to camera specs, because that's its huge leap forward here. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is the Mavic 3 Pro and Mavic 4 Pro both have adjustable aperture, which is great. The Air 3S does not have that, but a lot of the other features across the board are quite similar here. So, you know, a lot of the quick shot modes are very similar. The tracking options are very similar. We get master shots, we get waypoints, all sorts of stuff that's similar across the board here. But I'm going to go into some of the details that are different just so you can understand the differences. Now, keep in mind, all three drones have been hugely favorable in my world. I've been using using all of them now for a while, and they all have their own unique flair. They all feel slightly different to fly. They've got a different weight to them in the air as well as physically on land as well, but they all feel high grade. They all feel like high-end drones, which is exactly what you want from DJI. The Mavic 4 Pro is the heavier option here. It is over 1 kilogram, where the other two weigh in slightly less. If we look at the footprint, you can see that the Mavic 4 Pro is slightly larger here. Just across the board, it's a completely redesigned body. So it is slightly heavier, but the Mavic 3 Pro still comes in just under a kilogram. They both got great weight to them. They hold the sky perfectly. And then we've got the Air 3S, which is a bit smaller again than both of them. And again, holds the sky beautifully, handles great, and I'm impressed with all three of them. You can't really flaw any of them, or you can't say one's better than the other when it comes to its flight performance or wind resistance or anything like that. The Mavic 4 Pro is the first drone that I've used that has an infinity gimbal, so we get up to 400 degrees of rotation. That's in full manual mode, and if you use the rotate quick shot mode, you get up to 360 degrees of rotation. Really does set it apart from the competitors, and it does a great job. You can also go in true vertical video mode now, so that means that you can, and photo as well, you can capture photos in vertical mode, but the camera actually flips into the true vertical mode, similar to what we saw with the Mini 3 and Mini 4 range. So you've got that now with the Mavic range, and you just flip it across and it goes true vertical. You can capture 4K 60 frames per second in true vertical, and we also get 70 degrees of upward tilt. And on top of that, you get the full rotate quick shot mode, which is exclusive to the Mavic 4 Pro. The Air 3S sneaks in with a cropped version of vertical videos, so it doesn't rotate the camera or anything like that. There's not enough rotation with the camera, but what you can do is you can capture 2.7K 60 frames per second cropped videos. So it actually crops it for you, so when you put it on the computer, it's already ready to go. You don't have to do any post-production there. So you do have that as a feature, but it's limited to 2.7K. There's also the option to tilt 60 degrees as opposed to 70 degrees on the Mavic 4 Pro, but the Air 3S gets 60 degrees of tilt, which is a nice range of motion to give you slightly unique perspectives looking up. Looking at the Mavic 3 Pro, there is no true vertical option supported here, and we have a limited 35-degree upward tilt with this camera system. Completely different camera system, a lot more blocky than the circular design of the new one, but still a really impressive camera system, but no option for that vertical video here. You can do a lot of it in post-production, and that's not an issue at all, but in terms of ease of use, the other two definitely have, you know, the better option here. If you are in the market for one of these drones or any other drone camera or accessory for that matter, then make sure to check the links in my description below. I have helped Aussies save over $70,000 on their purchases, drones, cameras, and accessories. So reach out to sales@d1store.com.au, mention DansTube, and they'll be able to help you out with the best deal possible. You can also use the code DansTube to save on most drones, cameras, and accessories on their website. I'll also have some other links down below for my international viewers, so make sure to check all of those out. It helps you, it helps me, keeps this whole community going, and I love you all and appreciate all of your support. As I'm sure you're aware, it's quite hard to compare three drones because there's so many nuances to them. I can dive so heavily into the settings and give you a breakdown of like what makes them uniquely different, and that's kind of what we're going through here. But just keep in mind it depends on your needs, right? So if you're in an area where it's heavily governed, your laws and regulations are governed heavily, and you worry about flying, then you probably want to go for a mini drone, and these drones aren't even relevant for you. Potentially you have limited access to drones, so again, these might not be relevant for you. Finances as well is a huge one, because the Mavic 4 Pro is not a cheap drone. The Mavic 3 Pro is also not a cheap drone. The Air 3S is also not a cheap drone. There's a fair bit of money you're investing into these drones. So I will say that if you can afford one of these three drones, you're going to be happy regardless. I think this video also I wanted to go into like whether it's worth upgrading from the Mavic 3 Pro to the Mavic 4 Pro, because naturally that's the progression, right? There's a huge gap between those two releases. A lot of professionals, filmmakers, people who are getting paid to make content are using the Mavic 3 Pro. So for them to go to that next level, they really need to weigh it up and make sure it's worth it. And so far, as I'm going through everything, as I'm thinking about my comparisons, as I'm, looking over my videos and just going through the settings and what's available, the Mavic 4 Pro is a huge upgrade. There is significant improvement here, and it's not just a small upgrade. So far, I will say as a blanket statement, I think it is worth the upgrade from the Mavic 3 Pro to the Mavic 4 Pro. You can even sell your Mavic 3 Pro to get some money to fund the upgrade. I just think you're going to love it, and it's a huge improvement here. Let's get into some of the active track features and the subject focusing. So So all three drones can track. They do have point of interest and spotlight, but the Mavic 4 Pro and Air 3S both have subject focusing, and they both have active track 360 or 360 degrees. So they can track in all sorts of orientations all the way around a subject. It looks very unique. You got a lot of control there as the pilot to choose the distance, the height, and all that kind of stuff. So that works really great. And subject focusing means that you can actually, focus in on a subject. There's quite unique perspectives when it comes to like tapping on a subject, getting the box to see them as the focus point. You also get the option to, in the active track 360, to go into auto mode, as well as you manually control it as well. So that's great to see. The Mavic 3 Pro does have active track, point of interest, and spotlight. It does not support subject focusing, and it does not have active track 360. So you are missing out on that with the Mavic 3 Pro. Obstacle avoidance is always a very interesting thing to look into. I've tested all three drones in lots of different scenarios. There's lots of videos on the channel, so definitely go and check those out. But they all have omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. They can avoid in every single direction. Even the Mavic 3 Pro has that full control, right? But let's look into the details of it, because so the Mavic 4 Pro actually took it another level up. It's got nightscape omnidirectional obstacle avoidance of 0.1 lux. So that means that in pretty much any lighting condition, like the tiniest amount of light, it's going to be able to pick up on that with those low light sensors, as well as that forward facing LiDAR sensor. So you've got quite a comprehensive offering here when it comes to obstacle avoidance. Makes a huge difference when it comes to return to home as well. And I'm really impressed with what this is doing. Great stuff. I recently did a test where I got it to avoid all these trees. And for a larger drone, it's got a big footprint. It was able to navigate it with ease. And the fact that you get that low light, that nightscape omnidirectional obstacle avoidance is huge. So the Air 3S does have nightscape omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, as well as a forward-facing LiDAR sensor. So quite similar to the Mavic 4 Pro on paper. From my understanding, the Mavic 4 Pro is more advanced again in those low light conditions. They both have LiDAR, they both have nightscape omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, but the Mavic 4 Pro slightly edges it here with the improved sensors. And then the Mavic 3 Pro just has the standard omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, no nightscape option, no LiDAR. Still does a great job though, but you can just see again the evolutions. You can see things just stepping up here. Battery life's always an interesting one, and the Mavic 4 Pro again has taken the crown. 51 minutes of battery life. The Air 3S has 45 minutes of battery life, and the Mavic 3 Pro has 43 minutes of battery life. Range is another interesting one here. So the Mavic 4 Pro, 31 kilometers of range, OcuSync 4 Plus. If we look at the Air 3S, 20 kilometers of range with OcuSync 4, and then the Mavic 3 Pro comes in at 15 kilometers of range with OcuSync 3 Plus. Both the Mavic 4 Pro and the Air 3S now have full support for the brand new Aussie Pro 2 controller. Straight when you fold it open, everything powers on. That's the exact same with the Mavic 4 Pro. So you open everything up, powers on the drone, flip up the screen, powers on the screen, and it connects faster than ever. And so this controller does work. Thank you. This controller does work with the Air 3S and the Mavic 4 Pro. So could be a really awesome upgrade if you've got the Air 3S. This is going to make a huge world of difference because it's a full operating system. You can download apps on it. You can do all sorts of things. There's the DJI simulator built in. You've got extra buttons, all sorts of fun stuff on here. Beautiful display, and you can rotate it as well, which also flips the camera for the Mavic 4 Pro. Great display, 2000 nit peak brightness here, and it's a 7-inch mini LED. So this is actually one of my favorite upgrades of the Mavic 4 Pro, but it's also available on the Air 3S, so that's great to see. One of the coolest upgrades here is actually the charge time, which is an interesting thing to say. The Mavic 4 Pro can charge all three batteries in 90 minutes. That's a huge improvement. If we look at the Air 3S, that's 180 minutes, so double the length to charge three batteries. And then the Mavic 3 Pro is 210 minutes to charge three batteries. So a huge improvement there. You're going to be up in the air faster than ever, and it really is that fast. The fact that I can come home, make some lunch, charge the batteries, and go back out again in 90 minutes is a huge, huge improvement here. For me, this has been a very interesting comparison because all three drones are great in their own right. And I remember getting the Mavic 3 Pro being blown away completely. And then we got the Air 3S and I was really impressed, but I probably wasn't as blown away because I'd already used the Mavic 3 Pro. And then we got the Mavic 4 Pro, which is just off to the side here. And this just took it again to that next level, a 6K drone. The fact that I can capture 100 megapixel stills, a full rotating camera system, that controller, which is just a beast. This is a huge improvement here. And this got me very excited again. So I think this was a nice progression, like you think about it as this drone innovated and took the world by storm, this is that next level up for sure. And it's kind of a weird one because the Air 3S is what I'd recommend to a lot of people. It's a solid all-round drone. The footprint is not as large, so it's a little easier, a little bit more compact, a little bit more discreet. It's a quiet flight. It's got that LiDAR sensor. It's got that nightscape omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, but it's also got all those other features, the active track, the waypoints. It's got all sorts of stuff on here, and you get a dual camera system, that 1-inch sensor, which a lot of people loved on the Air 2S. So this was a huge upgrade from the Air 2S. I think this was the natural progression for a lot of people who had the Air 2S. And it's almost like there's very unique carved out markets in the space, in the consumer drone space. So I think I would recommend this to a lot of people purely because it's a decent price point for what you're getting. But for a lot of professionals out there, the Mavic 4 Pro is the one to get. If you have the money, this is the obvious one to get. If you can get it and you feel like it's a justified purchase, it's a business expense, you're absolutely going to fall in love with it. It's going to future-proof itself for a very long time as well, which we saw with the Mavic 3 Pro. This guy's still very relevant, just like the Air 2S is very relevant in comparison to the Air 3S. So this definitely future-proofed itself for a long time and was relevant and still is a great drone. So you can expect that from the Mavic 4 Pro. We're probably going to see a lot of upgrades as well, a lot of quality of life, new features, that kind of stuff come out for the Mavic 4 Pro, just like we did with the Mavic 3 Pro and even the Air 3S. So you can expect that, and it's very exciting to be in the drone space right now. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think this is the ultimate upgrade from the Mavic 3 Pro. This is the one to go to for all my professionals out there that are in the space getting paid. Get yourself the upgrade. It's well worth it. For the others out there, probably go for the Air 3S. Still a really high grade camera. Still can do some professional paid work with this, but you're not breaking the bank getting this, and you're going to be very happy with it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all your support, and I'll chat to you in the next one. Peace.